Hi and welcome. This is Walker Tea Review and I'm Jason Walker. It is a great time of year for teas for several reasons. One, a lot of your spring, your summer harvests, they've already arrived or they're coming in now. So you've got a lot of choices of teas to choose from. The fall's starting to creep in, so it's a good time to be able to sit down with a nice warm cup. And particularly, it's a good time for New York tea. This is the time, 400 years ago, 1609, Henry Hudson is exploring what is now the Hudson River area and Manhattan. Now, a lot of people don't know what he was doing there. Why was he in the area? He was part of the Dutch East India Company, or he was hired by them rather, to look for the Northwest Passage. And the Northwest Passage, of course, was a legendary, fabled route that there was a shortcut to the Orient. And what were they doing in the Orient? One of the major areas or commodities for trade for the Dutch East India Company was tea. This would be an excellent time. Anybody in the New York area, go and find out, learn about those connections. City of New York has a museum that's doing information about New Amsterdam, the original name of the colony that became Manhattan and New York. Learn about Henry Hudson, connections with tea, connections with New York. It is said that the colony of New Amsterdam at one point was drinking more tea than the country of England. Lots of interesting facts out there today. And perhaps if Henry Hudson were alive with us today, he would be drinking some milk-scented Kinsen oolong from Stash. That's what we're going to be looking at today. We've got a couple of different tools to be using. We have our clay teapot that we're going to be using today, and we're going to be playing around with an aroma cup, and I'll be showing that today, showing you a little bit more about that. So let's go ahead and start off by getting our tea ready so that we can talk a little bit more as it steeps. Now I've got here a pretty heaping teaspoon. Now my teapot here is an I Ching, a clay teapot. I Ching is the source, the city where it comes from. And I'm going to coat the bottom of this pot. This pot is about 6 ounces in size, 5-6 ounces in size, as far as volume I should say. And we are coating the bottom ring flat surface of the pot. We have water here that is ready. Of course, we use a filtered water. We've brought this to a boil and let it cool for just the few minutes that we've been talking here. And we're going to be able to fill this pot. As we're doing so, we're also going to be getting ready to make some notes. This is a tea tasting. Go ahead and we'll learn about our teas together. A valuable thing if you are going to be someone who wants to choose teas on your own, find the teas that you like and be able to remember them. It's always good to take notes, be able to take notes about what does the tea look like at a certain stage of its age, and depending on how old or young, fresh or aged that it has become. So we've got our clay pot, we've got our tea ready to go. We're going to set the lid on, give that a few minutes to steep. As we're doing that, we can go ahead and be talking about our dry leaf. Again, you could have, at this point, you could have made notes on the aroma, the shape and color of the leaf. So take a few, if you haven't already started, you may want to make a few notes about the aromas. Pause very briefly. You don't want to have your steep time vary too much differently from our steep time, but make a few notes about those things. When you're ready, come back and join us. Now we're going to move on though and talk about some of the aromas that we've already detected here. Now, one of the things that I'm getting, and as we said, I should preface this with saying this is Stash's milk-scented Kinsen oolong, 50 grams, like a package like this, $9.95. Kinsen can also be, you may also see the words Jing Xuan, Jin, Jing, Xuan. which is a varietal, a cultivated variety of the tea plant. If my history and my research is correct, it originated in Taiwan, was where the gene transplant was developed. The varietal was developed, but it has been transplanted and placed in other countries. China. I have even seen some talk of Thailand, I believe, for this one. But Stash's website indicates that this one was actually grown in China. Now, aromas that we're getting. We are getting a bit of a green floral, like a green smell, floral smell like a lotus. But and that's quite subtle, and that's just very initial. But what you're getting through a deeper smell, it's got the name milk scented, and that comes across in this particular one as movie theater popcorn flavoring, the butter flavoring of a movie theater popcorn. That's what I'm getting. It does have a kind of a milky, buttery smell. What you'll find as you read more about a milk scented oolong is that there is no milk in the process. This comes from a temperature change and a reaction in the leaf and the way this tea is processed. So, no dairy involved. No dairy was harmed in the making of this tea. Now let's go ahead and talk a little bit about our leaves as a oolong. You do have those bald, rolled kind of shapes, crumpled paper wad type shapes. You're getting a variety of color. You are getting some myrtle, a kind of green. You're also getting some kind of yellow-green colors. Okay. And, yep, that is that. I'm not going to talk a whole lot about the shape of those. Those are fairly standard characteristics. Okay. What we do want to go on next is we look a little bit at take a peek here. Yeah, those leaves have opened up. That should give us flavor. Now, what we're going to be doing, got our pot nice and ready to go. Quick note about an I pot. I pots, depending on the quality of the clay, as we said, there's a little bit of a kind of level of experience, level of appreciation as well to matching a clay pot like a I type pot. I is a city in China, as we said, that's famous for making clay pots. They have a certain particular kinds of clay that they use, and they have a very centralized collection of skilled artisans who are making those clay pots. Now, when we're talking about this, there is that skill of matching because of the mineral content of the clay, and because it's a porous type clay, it can affect flavors. It can release flavors more or less. So there is a matching skill of finding the ideal, I should say, pot with a tea. Supposedly, an ideal matching will also give you a brighter, more glowing color from the brilliance of the pot. We can go ahead and get this one started. Get our pour going. Now, before we go too far, I'm also going to be using this aroma cup, making a few drips here and kind of prevent more spillage. Now, we're going to be using the aroma cup by taking our taller cup, and this was for the specific purpose of appreciating the aromas of a tea. And then you put the smaller tasting cup on top. Now I'm going to finish pouring here into our regular glass so that we can look at that as well. We can taste from there. Before we go on and do any tasting though, let me set this aside. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about our wet leaf. Again, we're going to be noting any aromas that come off, shapes and colors of the leaves that have changed as it's been steeped. Now, first thing, of course, if you need to take a few seconds and pause and make your own notes, go ahead and do that. Don't forget to add any interesting or additional comments that you find, that you discover. Add them to the comments at the bottom of this tasting review. You scroll down to the bottom, you'll see a number of comments. Click the comment, type in your comment. I'm sure you have something that's undiscovered something that we would all appreciate. Now, we're going to go ahead and look at our colors and aromas here. Again, there's a lot of steam built up there in here, so we don't want to suck in too much too quickly. Still, lots of buttery smells coming off this. That kind of artificial butter smell. It's almost mouth-watering in its taste. Okay, so that's something we want to look at. Oh, before I forget, also let's take a quick look at our leaves. Yes, they've started to unroll. You're seeing here whole leaves. You're seeing, large sections of leaf. I'm looking to see. I noticed there were stem pieces when in the rolled, although I'm having trouble finding any. Let's go ahead and just dig those out, because there should be also like a stem that connects a leaf and a tip. Although I take that back, I don't see any present here right now. Okay, we'll go ahead and set that aside for now. Now, third thing we're going to be doing is looking, of course, at our liquor. And when we talk about our liquor, we want to be able to talk about or make notes on the aromas, the texture of it, the aftertaste. Is it extended aftertaste? And then we may want to make personal notes also about the level of bitterness, astringency that it has, compared to what we personally prefer. That would help us kind of make a reference point for later. And compare it, if necessary, with other teas of the same kind or other teas in general. So if you're ready to do that, go ahead and, or if you're ready to go with us, continue on. Let's talk a little bit about our aroma cup here as well. Aroma cups can be handy for just that purpose, appreciating the aroma. You've got your taller glass and you've got your shorter glass. The shorter one is actually the one you taste from. So the trick here is to take your pair of cups like this, quickly turn them over. You want to kind of lean the taller one over to the side a little bit and give it a twist so that it breaks that vacuum, that seal, and then take a quick sniff. Now, I am getting creamy aromas. I'm getting that buttery smell combined with a kind of lotus smell. Very pleasant. And these little cups are handy for enjoying that aroma. Consider getting a set of your own. If you go to the How to Taste page, there is a link that talks about there's also information about equipment for tea tastings, and there's a link for a company, and I can't remember which company it is, that provides some of these tasting cups for a quite affordable price in comparison with other offers. Let's go ahead and give it our taste now. Yeah. Traditionally, I believe the traditional Chinese tea tasting ceremony process, even with a cup like this, involves about 3 sips. And by the 3rd sip, it should be finished. I cheated, I still have a little bit left, but let's talk a little bit about this tea. We are getting creamy notes. It's, I would say it's not the creamiest texture I've had for a milk oolong like this. Again, those aromas were present, and again there was some variety of the lotus floral with the buttery type. The aftertaste was consistent. I'm still getting that very smooth buttery feel in my mouth. Tasting it also quickly, I got a bit of a roasted element to it as well. There was a kind of a roasted, toasty type taste to it, and it's as well. Astringency, light to none, I would say. Very little to no bitterness. Now, I should add also let me make sure I get this correct. Anything I left out? Yeah. I don't always do this. I don't always share this information. I taste off camera before I taste on camera for several reasons. One is because you sometimes need to find that right balance of temperature, steep time to draw out good flavors and aromas. Second, depending on temperature, your mouth, there are so many factors to consider as far as discovering all that can be found in this particular tea. In this particular tea, it also is valuable to taste off camera, because I didn't have an opportunity to do 2 steepings, because in the second steeping off camera, I found that these aromas and these tastes dissipated quite a bit on the second. So that it didn't offer as much on the second steeping. It should have offered. There are others that do offer more, and so kind of wrapping all this up, this tea, although there are lots of, there are flavors there, there's kind of a complexity in flavor, there's an interesting texture, especially if you're new to like a milk-scented oolong. It just doesn't carry the consistency from first to second steeping that a stronger developed tea other option could have. So we give this an 83. Like to have seen a stronger body, and would like to have seen a more consistent second steeping. So, but again, a good tea for a warm day. Quick, if you're the type of person that does 1 steeping, this will likely fit your bill. This is Jason Walker. We've looked at Stash's milk-scented Kinsen oolong on Walker Tea Review.